After almost 40 years of marriage, you convince yourself that nothing about your partner remains hidden. You memorize the smallest routines, the gentle tap of a spoon against a mug, the quiet inhale that signals deep thought, the way sleeves are rolled up when a serious talk is about to happen. For 37 years, I was certain I knew Richard completely. I believed he understood me just as deeply. But secrets don't disappear just because time passes. They linger, patient and stubborn, until the moment they demand to be seen. That moment came on a calm Sunday afternoon. The house rested in a stillness earned only after decades of shared habits. Richard sat in his usual chair, absorbed in the newspaper, his glasses slowly slipping down his nose. I sat across from him, pretending to knit. My fingers trembled too much to guide the needle. The pounding of my heart nearly drowned out the ticking clock on the wall. "Rich," I whispered. He looked up, offering the same soft smile I had fallen in love with all those years ago. "Yes. There's something I need to say." He folded the paper carefully and placed it beside him, turning fully toward me. "You sound worried." "I am." I had rehearsed this confession endlessly, alone in front of mirrors, in quiet prayers, during sleepless nights. Yet when the time finally arrived, the words refused to move. My eyes dropped to the wedding ring on my hand, its gold worn dull by time. "There's something I never told you," I said at last. "Not because I wanted to deceive you, but because I was afraid." He leaned closer, his expression steady. "Afraid of what?" "Of losing what we have." He didn't rush me. He never did. He simply waited, giving me the space I needed to find the courage buried inside me. "I had a baby," I murmured. "A little girl. Before you. Before our life together." The words hung between us, light at first, then unbearably heavy. He blinked, stunned. "A child?" I nodded. My voice barely worked anymore. I was 17. My parents sent me away to Ohio to stay with family. They arranged for her to be adopted. When I came back, they told me never to speak of it again. So I didn't. The room filled with silence, thick and unmoving. Only the clock confirmed that time was still passing. "I thought of her every day," I continued quietly. Finally, Richard spoke, his voice gentle. "Why are you telling me now?" "Because she found me," I said, my throat tight. "Her name is Emily. She's 40. She wants to meet me, and she wants to meet you too." He leaned back and closed his eyes, letting the truth settle over him. "All these years," he said softly, "you carried this alone." Tears burned my eyes. I was scared you'd see me differently. Like I was damaged. He opened his eyes again. There was no anger in them, only sorrow. Not for himself, but for the burden I had carried. "You think I married someone flawless?" he asked gently. "I married a real person. Someone who lived, survived, and did her best. I just wish you'd trusted me sooner." A sob escaped me, raw and uncontrollable. I didn't know how I stayed upright. He reached across the table and wrapped his hand around mine. "Then start now," he said. "Tell me everything." So I did. I told him about the hospital. About the newborn I never got to hold. About the letters I wrote and hid away. About Emily's voice on the phone, trembling with fear and hope when she finally called. By the time I finished, rain was tapping against the windows. After a long pause, Richard spoke again. "I'm not angry," he said. "I'm just heartbroken that you never believed I could love every part of you." I covered my face and cried. "I thought I was protecting you." "No," he said gently. "You were protecting yourself." The truth struck deeply because it was undeniable. We sat there for a long time, hands entwined, two people who had finally reached the end of their secrets. The next morning, the house felt different, lighter, as though honesty itself had opened the windows. I woke before Richard and listened to his breathing. I felt hollow, but calm, like space had finally been made for peace. When he woke, I asked quietly, "Do you want to meet her?" He rubbed his forehead. "Do you?" "Yes," I said. "I need to." He nodded. "Then I do too." "You don't have to," I whispered. "She's part of your life," he replied. "That makes her part of mine." 3 days later, we sat at a small cafe by the lake. When Emily walked in, I knew instantly. She had my mother's eyes and nervous hands clutching her purse. "Hi," she said. "Hi," I breathed. My hands shook so badly that Richard steadied them beneath the table. "You look exactly like I imagined," she said shyly. "And you," I said through tears, "feel like home." She told us she only wanted to understand where she came from. She had grown up loved, but always felt something missing. We talked for hours, about her childhood, her work as a teacher, her 2 children. When she showed me their photo, freckled faces and bright smiles, I broke down. Not from grief, but from gratitude. The life I thought I had lost had somehow returned to me. As Richard and I drove away, the sky burned orange with sunset. "She's incredible," he said. "She really is," I whispered. He took my hand again. "You've punished yourself long enough." I looked at him, confused. "Punished myself?" "Yes. You believed silence meant strength. But it only stole your peace." My throat tightened. "How can you forgive this so easily?" He smiled softly. "Because you stood by me through every storm. Because we all lived lives before each other. And because I love you now, after everything." We drove home in a quiet that felt healing rather than heavy. That night, moonlight spilled across the kitchen floor. Richard wrapped his arms around me from behind. "You were brave today," he whispered. "So were you," I replied. He kissed my forehead. "You know what's strange," he said. "I thought after all these years, nothing could surprise me." I laughed, shaky but real. "Seems," I whispered, "we're still learning each other." He smiled. "Good," he said. "That means there's still more love ahead."